Manchester United will be watching the developments in the Danish national camp closely. Even before pre-season began, Rasmus Hojlund expressed how excited he was to get started for Manchester United in 2024-25. It took Hojlund just 15 minutes of pre-season to pick up an injury, which has led to him starting only 2 matches so far since returning. Hojlund has scored once this season so far and is currently on international duty with Denmark. Rasmus Hojlund is being treated with extra care during international duty, enough to perhaps warrant a little concern. Danish outlet Bold reports Rasmus Hojlund was one of 2 players to sit out Sunday's training session entirely, along with Joachim Mail. Their report adds that both players have had issues with injuries this season and their absence may be precautionary without being able to state a definitive reason. Denmark's next fixture is away against Switzerland on Tuesday evening. Rasmus Hojlund was a substitute in Denmark's 1-0 defeat to Spain and played just the final 12 minutes. Denmark's manager insisted Hojlund is fully fit, with Lars Knudsen telling Tipsbladet there is a sharp competitive situation right now in attack. Nonetheless, Hojlund's absence from training suggests he might not be at 100%, and there is some careful load management taking place, perhaps in agreement with Manchester United. Hojlund will be needed to play a big role for United later this month, with fixtures against Brentford, Fenerbahce, West Ham and Leicester City. United have failed to score in 4 of the past 5 Premier League matches, with Hojlund looking for his first league strike. Let's take a look at another important player for Manchester United, also on international duty, Manuel Ugarte. Marcelo Bielsa's Uruguay began 2024 as the in-form international team with victories over Argentina and Brazil. The year did not hit the heights they hoped, beaten in the Copa America semi-finals by Colombia, and more recently defeated by Peru in World Cup qualifying. Both losses had something in common. Manuel Ugarte played both matches at centre-back. The Manchester United midfielder had to fill in at the position in their recent qualifier, a 1-0 loss against CONMEBOL strugglers Peru. Manuel Ugarte was praised by Marcelo Bielsa despite Uruguay's loss, while his nation's media also had positive words for his performance, with one outlet rating his display 8 out of 10. This loss and the Copa semi-final were perhaps coincidence. Both featured Ugarte out of position, while also worth noting the knock-on impact of taking him out of midfield. It was not Ugarte's fault that Darwin Núñez could not manage to score against the Peru side with the second worst goal difference in CONMEBOL qualifying. The Manchester United midfielder had kept quiet since the defeat, with Uruguay working in silence to prepare for their next fixture up against Ecuador in midweek. Manuel Ugarte spoke to ESPN to discuss the defeat to a Peru team who had been winless in 8 qualifying games before this match. Ugarte admitted, "We did not play well. It was a shame because I still believe that we are much better, but the match was ugly for us. Little by little we faded, and we did not show good things in the match." Ugarte was also asked about his own display out of position and admitted it was not the ideal scenario for himself or the team. He explained, "Honestly, I felt good with the ball, but I lack certain things as a defender." Ugarte has not had an easy time at Manchester United since joining, being written off by various pundits already. Erik ten Hag warned Ugarte was not quite ready due to a lack of fitness, and it has been a slow start for him. Getting some extra game time for Uruguay is useful, even if it is out of position, before he returns to United for a busy stretch of fixtures. Even though it's too early to begin to have a conclusive verdict on Ugarte's performance at United so far, some pundits think otherwise and raise some critical concerns. Manchester United completed the signing of Paris Saint-Germain midfielder Manuel Ugarte in the summer, but the Uruguayan has struggled so far. Erik ten Hag's Manchester United signed Manuel Ugarte during the summer for £42 million, but it has been a tough start to life at Old Trafford for the South American midfielder. After a poor start to his United career, Ugarte will certainly benefit from the international break, and he will hope to return to top form once the Red Devils take on Brentford after the international matches. Here are a selection of some of Manuel Ugarte's harshest criticisms from pundits that he has received during his 2 months in Manchester. We start off with Micah Richards and Gary Lineker's comments on Ugarte, which came after the Uruguayan struggles against Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. Speaking on the rest is football podcast, Richards said Ugarte, who they have brought in, "I know he has only played a couple, but he looks a shadow of the player." Lineker agreed with that sentiment and said he has only just arrived at a place that is a bit of a pickle and a bit of a mess. It's difficult. Prior to his move to PSG, Ugarte was one of the most sought-after midfielders in Europe during his spell at Sporting Lisbon. However, after struggling so far at Old Trafford, Dutch journalist Hans Kraaij suggested that PSV midfielder Jerzy Schouten would have been a better fit for the Red Devils than the tough-tackling Uruguayan. Whilst Schouten had a decent Euro 2024 with the Netherlands, Ten Hag and Ineos surely made the correct decision when it comes to the signing of Ugarte. After United's 3-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur last month, the criticisms surrounding Matthijs de Ligt and Ugarte were rife. Rio Ferdinand claimed that Ugarte lacked the raw speed to play in that position, particularly for Ten Hag's United, who play a lot of transition football. Perhaps even worse than being criticised for his performances for United, pundits have shown apathy towards Ugarte. Robbie Earle had admitted that he felt sorry for Ugarte after United's defeat to Tottenham, saying that he looked out of place and the chaos around him had not helped him. Nobody really looks like they know what they are doing, Earle said. It must be so difficult for a new player, an international quality player, to come into that team and do your job in the way you think or expect to do your job. Perhaps the least surprising critic of Ugarte has been Graeme Souness, who was always Paul Pogba's harshest critic at Old Trafford. It isn't just Ugarte who failed to convince Souness, but De Ligt and Messa Mazraoui too, according to the Metro. The club spent big again last summer, but neither Manuel Ugarte, Matthijs de Ligt nor Messa Mazraoui convinced me, Souness said. Manchester United will be closely monitoring their players during the international break, especially Rasmus Hojlund and Manuel Ugarte, who have had mixed starts to their seasons. Hojlund, dealing with ongoing injury concerns, sat out of training with Denmark, though reports suggest this may be precautionary. Meanwhile, Ugarte has struggled to find his rhythm at United, and while he's getting extra game time with Uruguay, he's been playing out of position. Both players are key to United's plans moving forward, especially as the club prepares for a busy schedule later this month. Hojlund's fitness will be crucial for the Red Devils' goal-scoring hopes, while Ugarte will be eager to prove his worth after a challenging start at Old Trafford. And their form and fitness post-international break could be pivotal in turning around United's current struggles. Stay tuned for updates on their progress, and make sure to follow the latest news to see how they contribute to turning United's season around. Keep the faith and let's support our team through these challenging times.